I'm calling the police. This man is impersonating a first-class passenger. Flight attendant Jessica's accusation rang through the cabin as she pointed at Marcus Williams like he was a criminal. The 42-year-old black executive sat in seat 2A, his $3,000 zero-cent suit, apparently not enough proof of his legitimacy. "Sir, stand up. Security is coming to escort you off this plane." Her voice carried the satisfaction of someone who thought she'd caught a fraud. Marcus glanced at his Patek Philippe watch. 6:47 p.m., then at his phone screen showing 47 missed calls from Skyline Airlines board. He smiled slightly. Every passenger was recording now. This was about to become one of those viral black stories that destroys careers in minutes. These real-life stories of discrimination always have the same ending. But this touching story would have a twist nobody saw coming. What if the fraud they're trying to arrest actually signs their paychecks? Manager Robert Chen arrived with the swagger of someone who'd handled situations before. His eyes swept the first-class cabin, cataloging witnesses, calculating damage control. "What's the issue here?" Robert's voice carried authority earned through 15 years of airline management. Jessica straightened, emboldened by backup. "This passenger is sitting in first class without proper documentation. When I asked for his boarding pass, he became hostile and refused to cooperate." Marcus reached into his jacket pocket slowly, deliberately. Every eye tracked his movement. The boarding pass emerged, gold-trimmed, pristine. First class, seat 2. Ah, Skyline Airlines. Robert barely glanced at it. "Anyone can print these nowadays. Sir, we're going to need additional verification. Driver's license, credit card used for purchase." The teenager in 3B had been live streaming for 3 minutes. Her viewer count climbed. 847, 1,203, 1,891. Comments flooded the screen. "This is disgusting. Welcome to 2025, same old racism. I'm never flying Skyline again." Marcus produced his driver's license. Robert examined it like a detective studying evidence. "This could be fake. These days, you can't be too careful." "Too careful of what, exactly?" Marcus's voice remained calm, but something shifted in his posture. "Look, sir," Robert's patience thinned. "We have procedures. If you can't prove you purchased this ticket legitimately—" "I can prove it." Marcus unlocked his phone, scrolled to his email. The confirmation appeared. Skyline Airlines booking confirmation, first class seat 2A. $4,247.00. Robert squinted at the screen. "Digital receipts can be manipulated. Do you have the original credit card?" Marcus handed over a black American Express Centurion card. Robert had never seen one in person. The annual fee alone was $10,000.00. "This doesn't prove anything," Robert muttered, but his confidence wavered. Gate agent Julie Martinez watched through the jet bridge window, her stomach churning. She'd processed Marcus's ticket personally. Premium customer, no red flags. But Robert was her supervisor. Captain Sarah Morrison emerged from the cockpit, drawn by the commotion. 23 years of flying experience told her this situation was spiraling. "Is there a problem?" Captain Morrison asked. "Just handling a ticketing issue," Robert replied without looking up. The live stream exploded to 3,400 viewers. Local news stations monitored social media for breaking stories. This was exactly what they hunted for. Marcus checked his phone again. A text thread labeled "Board Emergency Line" showed 17 new messages, the latest from Margaret, his executive assistant. "Sir, the situation is trending on Twitter. Should I activate crisis protocols?" He typed back, "Not yet. Let it play out." Nobody noticed the exchange. "Sir," Robert's voice carried finality, "I'm going to have to ask you to deplane voluntarily or we'll have security remove you." The cabin fell silent except for the hum of air conditioning and the subtle clicks of recording phones. Marcus looked around the cabin slowly. Seat 1A, elderly white gentleman, no questions asked. Seat 1B, young white woman, sound asleep, no verification required. Seat 3A, middle-aged white businessman reading the Wall Street Journal peacefully. "May I ask," Marcus said quietly, "how many other passengers you've asked to verify their identity today?" Robert's jaw tightened. "That's not relevant to—" "It's completely relevant." Marcus's voice remained steady, but passengers leaned forward. "In fact, it's the most relevant question of all." The live stream viewer count hit 5,000. A local news producer from Channel 7 messaged the teenage streamer. "Can we use this footage?" Operations Director Lisa Park's voice crackled through Robert's radio. "What's the delay? We have a departure slot to maintain." "Minor passenger issue," Robert responded. "Should be resolved shortly." Customer Service VP David Kim monitored the social media feeds from his office. Skyline discrimination was trending in Los Angeles. His phone rang. The crisis management team. "How bad?" David asked without preamble. "Bad, and getting worse. 5,000 viewers, multiple news outlets picking it up. We need damage control now." Meanwhile, Marcus's phone showed another text from Margaret. "Legal department is standing by. Full board assembled for emergency session. Awaiting your signal." Marcus stood slowly from seat 2A. The cabin tensed. "I'll comply with your request," he said to Robert. "But first, I'd like to make one phone call." "Sir, you can't." "An call, 30 seconds." Robert hesitated. The live stream audience waited. The cabin held its breath. Marcus dialed a number programmed as M. Stevens Corporate. It rang once. "Margaret, it's Marcus. Yes, I'm aware of the situation. Please proceed with Emergency Board Resolution 20-2571. Full authorization code, Sierra 7 Alpha." He hung up. The silence stretched like a taut wire ready to snap. The phone call ended, but its echo lingered like thunder after lightning. Every passenger felt the shift. Something fundamental had just changed, though nobody understood what. Security Officer Rodriguez stepped onto the plane, his partner Thompson close behind. 15 years of law enforcement experience told Rodriguez this situation was different. The passenger wasn't agitated, wasn't arguing, wasn't showing any signs of guilt. He was sitting calmly like a man who owned the place. "Sir, I need you to stand up and come with us," Rodriguez announced, his hand resting on his radio. Marcus looked up slowly. "Officer, may I ask what crime you believe I've committed?" "Trespassing. Refusing to comply with airline personnel." "I see." Marcus glanced at his boarding pass, still lying on the armrest. "And trespassing requires unlawful entry, or remaining on property without permission, correct?" Rodriguez paused. Suspects didn't usually quote legal definitions. The teenage girl in 3B had been streaming for 8 minutes. Her viewer count exploded. 3,000, 400, 5,000, 100, 7,800. The comments were brutal. "This is 2025, and we're still seeing this racist garbage. I'm never flying this airline again. Someone needs to get fired for this." "Sir," Thompson stepped forward, "we're going to need you to exit the aircraft now." Marcus stood slowly, deliberately. The cabin fell silent except for the hum of air conditioning and the soft clicking of phone cameras. "Before I comply," Marcus said, reaching into his jacket, "I'd like to document this interaction for legal purposes." Every security officer tensed. Passengers leaned forward. Marcus withdrew not a weapon, but a business card. He handed it to Rodriguez. "Marcus Williams, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Skyline Airlines." Rodriguez stared at the card. Read it twice. His face went pale. This has to be fake, he whispered. Officer Rodriguez, Marcus said quietly, I want you to call your supervisor, right now. Tell them you're about to arrest the CEO of Skyline Airlines for sitting in first class. The live stream erupted. Wait, what did he just say? CEO? No way. Oh my God, this is insane. But Rodriguez wasn't buying it. Anyone can print business cards. Sir, you're under arrest for... Stop. The voice came from the jet bridge. A woman in an expensive suit rushed onto the plane, her face flushed with panic. I'm Sarah Chen, Skyline's chief legal counsel. She showed her credentials to Rodriguez. Officer, you need to step back immediately. Rodriguez looked confused. Ma'am, we're handling a passenger dispute. That passenger, Sarah pointed at Marcus, is my boss. He's the CEO of this airline. The cabin exploded. Passengers gasped. Jessica stumbled backward. Robert's face went from red to white to green. But Marcus held up one finger. There's more you need to know. Rodriguez's radio crackled. Unit 47, what's your status? We're getting calls from airline management. Thompson keyed his radio. We're going to need a supervisor down here. Immediately. The teenage streamer whispered to her phone. Y'all, I can't even... This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. 12,000 people are watching this man destroy his own employees. Gate manager Tom Bradley rushed down the jet bridge, his phone pressed to his ear. Yes, sir, I understand. Yes, I'll handle it personally. No, sir, I had no idea. He hung up and approached Marcus with the careful respect of a man who'd just realized he was looking at his ultimate boss. Mr. Williams, I sincerely apologize. We had no idea you were conducting an inspection. I'm not conducting an inspection, Tom. Marcus's voice carried quiet menace. I'm being discriminated against by my own employees. Bradley's mouth fell open. Tell me, Tom, Marcus continued, in your 5 years as gate manager, how many white passengers have you personally seen asked for additional verification in first class? Bradley's silence answered everything. Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smiled grimly. 43 missed calls from my executive team. They're watching this unfold on social media and trying to warn me about the situation. He held up his phone screen showing dozens of missed calls from contacts labeled Skyline CFO, Skyline Crisis Team, Skyline Board Emergency. They have no idea I am the situation. The live stream viewer count hit 15,000. Local news stations were scrambling to get crews to LAX. Captain Morrison emerged from the cockpit, her 23 years of aviation experience telling her this was spiraling beyond any normal passenger incident. Mr. Williams, she said carefully, how would you like us to proceed? Marcus looked around the cabin slowly. Every first-class passenger was recording. The teenager's live stream was being shared across every social platform. Captain Morrison, I want you to do exactly what you would do if I were any other black passenger sitting in first class. Morrison's face went pale. Sir, Go ahead. Show me your standard protocol for black passengers who don't belong in first class. The challenge hung in the air like a loaded gun. Robert Chen had been silent during the CEO revelation, but something in him snapped. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was 15 years of unchallenged authority. I don't care who you claim to be, he said, his voice shaking with false bravado. You could be lying. This could all be fake. I'm the manager of this operation, and I say you don't belong here. The cabin went dead silent. Marcus smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. Robert, you just said something very interesting. You said, I don't belong here. Can you explain to everyone what exactly makes you think I don't belong in first class? Robert's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Is it my clothes? This is a $3,000 0-cent Armani suit. Silence. Is it my luggage? This briefcase cost more than your monthly salary. Robert started sweating. Is it my credit card? I showed you a Black American Express Centurion card. Do you know what the requirements are for that card, Robert? $5 million in annual spending. $5 million, Robert. How much do you spend annually? The live stream comments were savage. Destroy him. This man is done. Career suicide in real time. Marcus stepped closer to Robert. So if it's not my clothes, not my luggage, not my credit card, not my boarding pass, not my identification, what exactly makes you think I don't belong here? Robert's silence was deafening. Say it, Robert. Say what we all know you're thinking. The cabin held its breath. 18,000 people watched live. National news trucks were pulling up to LAX. Marcus's phone rang. He answered on speaker. Marcus, thank God. The voice belonged to Patricia Wong, Skyline's CFO. We've been trying to reach you for an hour. There's a massive discrimination incident trending on social media involving our airline. I know, Patricia. I'm watching it unfold in real time. We need immediate crisis response. Legal is drafting statements. PR wants to get ahead of this before... Patricia, Marcus interrupted. I'm not watching it on social media. I'm living it. I'm the passenger being discriminated against. Dead silence from the phone. Then, oh my God, Marcus, where are you? I'm on flight 447, standing in first class, surrounded by your employees who think I don't belong here. The CFO's voice cracked. Jesus Christ. Marcus, we'll fix this immediately. We'll fire everyone involved. Patricia, before you fire anyone, I want you to answer one question. Marcus looked directly at Robert. In your opinion, what makes a passenger belong in first class? The document trembled in Robert's hands. His face cycled through confusion, recognition, then pure terror. You're... the CEO? Jessica's voice cracked like breaking glass. Marcus stood slowly, every movement deliberate. Robert, in your 15 years with this company, how many white passengers have you asked for additional verification? The cabin held its breath. The live stream viewer count exploded past 20,000. Robert's mouth opened and closed silently. The answer hung in the air like a toxic cloud. I'll take your silence as 0, Marcus said quietly. Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then smiled grimly. Interesting. I have 47 missed calls from my own executive team. They've been trying to warn me about this situation on social media. He held up his phone so the cabin could see the screen. Dozens of missed calls from contacts labeled Skyline CFO, Skyline Legal, Skyline Crisis Management. Garvin sends more for clients, but the bigger... Hamilton had no idea on the situation. The teenage streamer whispered to her audience, Y'all, this is better than any movie. 25,000 people watching this man destroy his own employees. Officer Rodriguez shifted uncomfortably. Sir, we didn't know. Of course you didn't know. That's exactly the problem. Marcus's voice carried quiet fury. You saw a black man in first class and immediately assumed fraud. No investigation, no benefit of doubt, just instant suspicion. Captain Morrison stepped forward. Mr. Williams, I sincerely apologize. This doesn't represent our company values. Captain, with respect, this absolutely represents our company values, because this is what our company does when no one important is watching. Marcus dialed a number. It rang once. Margaret, it's Marcus. Yes, I know about the social media situation. I'm looking at it from the inside. His assistant's voice echoed through the cabin. Sir, we have a crisis team assembled. Legal wants to issue statements. PR is drafting apologies. Cancel everything. I'm handling this personally. But, sir, the board is demanding immediate damage control. Margaret, I am the board. And right now, I'm conducting the most important performance review in this company's history. The live stream comments exploded. He's conducting a performance review. LeMayo? These people are so fired. This is the best karma video ever. Marcus turned to address the entire cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, you're witnessing something rare in corporate America. Real-time accountability. He faced Robert directly. Mr. Chen, you've been with us 15 years. Salary approximately $85,000, 0 cents annually. In those 15 years, you've received 3 complaints for discriminatory behavior, all buried in HR files. Robert's knees nearly buckled. How do you? Because I review every discrimination complaint personally, every single one. Marcus's voice cut like steel. Did you think they didn't reach my desk? Jessica grabbed the nearest seat for support. Mr. Williams, I didn't mean to. Jessica, you called me a fraud. You questioned my right to sit in a seat I purchased. You involved security to remove me from my own airplane. His calm delivery made each word hit harder. What exactly didn't you mean? The cabin door opened. A new figure appeared. A woman in an expensive suit, carrying a briefcase. Mr. Williams, she called out. I'm Sarah Chen from Legal. We've been trying to reach you. Marcus smiled. Sarah, perfect timing. Meet Robert Chen. No relation, I assume. Robert, meet our chief legal counsel. Sarah Chen's eyes widened as she took in the scene. Security officers, crying flight attendant, passengers recording everything. Her CO standing calmly in the middle of chaos. Sir, we have a situation developing on social media. I know. I'm the situation. Sarah's briefcase hit the floor. Oh my God. Marcus addressed his phone. Margaret, patch me through to the board emergency line. Within seconds, voices filled the cabin. Marcus, thank God. We've been trying to reach you for an hour. The discrimination hashtag is trending nationally. We need immediate crisis response. Gentlemen, Marcus interrupted. I'm conducting the crisis response, in real time, on live television. Confused voices overlapped. What do you mean, live television? Marcus, where are you? I'm on flight 447, the flight that's trending on social media. The passenger being discriminated against? That's me. Stunned silence from the phone. Then, Jesus Christ, Marcus. The teenage streamer's viewer count hit 35,000. News outlets were calling her directly. Her TikTok had been shared 15,000 times in 10 minutes. Marcus noticed her phone and walked over. What's your name? Zoe, she whispered, starstruck. Zoe, how many people are watching? 35,000 and climbing. This is insane. Marcus addressed her camera directly. 35,000 people are witnessing exactly what happens when black passengers fly first class on Skyline Airlines. This is our reality. This is your company. The comments section exploded with fire emojis and outrage. Operations Control radioed Captain Morrison. Flight 447, what is your status? You're now holding up 6 other departures. Marcus gestured for the radio. Morrison hesitated, then handed it over. Operations, this is Marcus Williams. Confused pause. Sir, we need you to identify yourself properly. This is Marcus Williams, Chairman and CEO of Skyline Airlines. Flight 447 is delayed for executive review of customer service protocols. Another pause, then a completely different voice. Mr. Williams, this is Operations Director Park. We weren't aware you were on board. Clearly. Which is exactly why I'm on board. Marcus pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. He showed the screen to Robert. Skyline Airlines executive account available balance, $2,847,392.15. Recent transaction, first-class ticket purchase, $4,247.00. Robert, this is my personal account. The account I used to buy the ticket you claimed was fraudulent. His voice remained deadly calm. Would you like to see my corporate account? The one with signing authority for your paycheck? Robert collapsed into the nearest seat, hyperventilating. Marcus reached into his jacket pocket one last time. He withdrew a small device, a digital voice recorder. For the past 6 months, I've been conducting random spot checks on our customer service. Flying coach, first class, different routes, different times. He held up the recorder. This device has documented 7 separate incidents of discrimination against passengers of color. The cabin went completely silent. The difference with today's incident, I let it go public, because sometimes the only way to create change is to let the world see the problem. He pressed play on the recorder. His own voice filled the cabin from a previous flight. Sir, you'll need to move to coach. This seat is reserved for premium passengers. Another voice, different flight attendant. These tickets can be faked easily nowadays. Marcus stopped the recording. 7 incidents, 7 different crews, 7 examples of systemic racism in our company. The live stream viewer count reached 50,000. Skyline accountability was trending worldwide. Marcus faced the camera in Zoe's hands. To everyone watching, this is how change happens. Not through violence or anger, but through accountability and transparency. He turned to Robert and Jessica. Your actions today didn't just hurt me. They hurt every black passenger who's experienced this treatment and had no power to fight back. Jessica was sobbing openly. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry isn't enough anymore, Marcus replied. Change is what's needed. His phone buzzed with a text. Sir, CNN wants an exclusive interview. NBC is sending a crew. This is national news. Marcus typed back, set up press conference for tomorrow. Full transparency. He looked around the cabin one final time. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just witnessed the most expensive customer service training session in aviation history. The cabin erupted in applause that lasted nearly a minute. But Marcus held up his hand. We're not done yet. The CFO's voice crackled through the phone speaker like a death sentence waiting to be read. Every person in the cabin, passengers, crew, security, realized they were witnessing something that would be studied in business schools for decades. Patricia, Marcus said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. I want you to conference in the entire board, right now. Marcus, maybe we should handle this privately. Patricia. The single word carried enough menace to freeze blood. Conference in the board, or start updating your resume. Phone static, hurried voices. Then the unmistakable sound of a boardroom coming to attention. This is Chairman Williams calling an emergency session. All directors, please confirm attendance. One by one, voices checked in. Director Martinez present. Director Thompson present. Director Kim present. Marcus looked around the cabin, his eyes settling on each crew member like a judge preparing to deliver verdicts. Board members, you're about to hear exactly how your airline treats black passengers. I want you to listen carefully because in 10 minutes, heads are going to roll. Robert Chen stood frozen in the aisle, his 15-year career dissolving in real time. But something in his desperation sparked defiance. You know what? Robert's voice cracked with false bravado. I don't care who you claim to be. Rich people think they can buy their way out of everything. Well, not on my watch. The cabin went dead silent. Even the live stream comments stopped for a moment. Marcus smiled. It was the most terrifying smile anyone had ever seen. Robert, you just made the worst mistake of your life. He addressed the phone. Board members, you just heard my employee tell me that rich people can't buy their way out of everything. Patricia, remind everyone how much of this airline I own. Patricia's voice trembled. Marcus holds 68% controlling interest and serves as chairman and CEO. So, Robert, Marcus's voice was deadly calm. I didn't buy my way out of anything. I bought the entire airline. And you just called the owner of this company a liar to his face. Robert's knees gave out. He grabbed the nearest seat to keep from falling. The live stream exploded. Oh my God, he owns the whole airline. This man just committed career suicide. R.I.P. Robert Chen, 197822025. Marcus pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. He held the screen toward the cabin so everyone could see. Marcus Williams' personal account. Available balance $847,293,521.15. Skyline Airlines controlling shareholder. $800 million, Robert. That's my personal account, not corporate. Personal. His voice carried across the silent cabin. Want to see my investment portfolio? The one that owns this airline? Robert was hyperventilating. But here's what's really interesting, Marcus continued, scrolling through his phone. I have the passenger interaction logs for the past 6 months. Computer records of every customer service inquiry. He found what he was looking for. Robert, in 6 months you've processed 2,847 first-class passenger interactions. Want to guess how many additional verifications you requested? Robert shook his head frantically. 47, all of them Black or Hispanic passengers, 0 white passengers, 0 Asian passengers. Marcus's voice cut like a surgeon's scalpel. That's not random, Robert. That's systematic racism. The phone speaker erupted with board member voices. This is unacceptable. We need immediate action. How did this go undetected? Marcus silenced them with a gesture. Before anyone talks about action, let me show you the real cost of racism. He swiped to another screen. Patricia, I'm sending you data. Display it on the boardroom screen. Seconds later. Jesus Christ, Marcus, these numbers are... Read them out loud, Patricia. Every number. Customer satisfaction by race. White passengers, 84%. Asian passengers, 79%. Hispanic passengers, 63%. Passengers in the cabin gasped. The elderly woman in 1B covered her mouth in horror. Revenue impact. We lose approximately $43 million annually from dissatisfied minority customers who switch airlines. Marcus nodded grimly. $43 million, Robert. Your racism costs this company $43 million every year. But he wasn't finished. Now here's the part that's going to make your head explode. Marcus scrolled to another document. Robert, what's your annual salary? $85,000, Robert whispered. And what's your performance bonus based on? Customer satisfaction scores. Marcus's smile was predatory. So you've been getting bonuses for maintaining high customer satisfaction while systematically discriminating against 40% of our passengers. You've been rewarded for racism. The boardroom erupted in angry voices. The live stream viewer count hit 45,000. News vans surrounded LAX. Here's what happens next, Marcus announced, his voice carrying the finality of a judge delivering sentence. Robert Chen, you're fired, not just from this position. You're banned from ever working for any airline again. I personally will ensure your termination follows you. Robert started crying. actual tears streaming down his face. Jessica Martinez, you're suspended indefinitely. You'll complete bias training, sensitivity counseling, and community service. If you pass, and that's a big if, you might get a job in baggage handling. Jessica sobbed openly. Captain Morrison, you're reassigned to mandatory leadership training. You watched discrimination happen and did nothing. That's not leadership. That's cowardice. Morrison's face flushed with shame. Marcus addressed the phone. Board members, here's how we fix this. Executive compensation is now tied to diversity metrics. If discrimination goes up, executive pay goes down. Marcus, you can't restructure compensation without... I can and I will. I own 68%. This isn't a negotiation. He pulled up another document. Furthermore, every executive will undergo the same bias training as frontline employees. Same tests, same standards. Anyone who fails gets demoted. The phone speaker went silent. Marcus walked to the center of the cabin, every eye following him. The live stream was being broadcast on CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. Ladies and gentlemen, he addressed the passengers, you've just witnessed something unprecedented in corporate America. A CEO experiencing his own company's discrimination firsthand. He turned to the camera in the teenage streamer's hands. To everyone watching this, 50,000 people and counting, I want you to understand something. This doesn't end with firing Robert. His voice carried across the cabin and into millions of homes. This ends when every airline, every hotel, every restaurant, every business in America realizes that discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's financially stupid. The passenger in 4A raised his hand. Mr. Williams, what can we do to help? Marcus smiled. His first genuine smile since boarding. Share this story. When you see discrimination, record it. Post it. Make it impossible to ignore. Another passenger spoke up. Will you really change the company? I don't have a choice, Marcus replied. Because if I don't, someone else will start an airline that treats all passengers with dignity. And then we'll go out of business. Marcus's phone buzzed with a text. He read it and laughed, a sound that sent chills through the cabin. This is perfect, he said, showing his phone to the nearest passenger. The NAACP just announced they're ending their travel boycott of Skyline Airlines, effective immediately. He addressed the phone. Board members, did you know we've been on the NAACP's boycott list for 3 years? Stunned silence. That boycott cost us $87 million in lost bookings, but they just lifted it. Because 50,000 people watched me fire a racist employee in real time. The cabin erupted in applause, but Marcus held up his hand. We're not celebrating yet. This was one employee on one flight. We have 34,000 employees worldwide. His voice turned serious. The real work starts tomorrow. Okay, Ben said. We've got an... He looked directly at Robert, who was still crying. Robert, I want you to remember this moment. Remember what it feels like to be humiliated in front of strangers, because that's what you did to passengers every single day. 2 weeks after Flight 447, Marcus Williams sat in his corner office, but his mind was 30,000 feet in the air. His assistant knocked. Sir, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment. The door opened and Jessica Martinez walked in. The former flight attendant looked different, humbled, uncertain, but determined. Akana told me that Mr. Williams, I know I don't deserve your time. Sit down, Jessica. She perched on the edge of the chair like she might need to run. I completed the bias training, all 40 hours. I did something else. Marcus waited. I went to South Central LA, volunteered at a community center where families can't afford to fly anywhere, let alone first class. Her voice cracked. I met this little girl, 8 years old, who asked me what an airplane looked like inside. Tears rolled down Jessica's cheeks. She'll probably never fly first class in her life, but I treated people who looked like her family as if they were criminals. Marcus studied her face. What do you want, Jessica? I want to make it right. Not my job back. I know that's gone. But I want to help fix what I helped break. Marcus opened his laptop. Show me. He turned the screen toward her. A video played. Security footage from LAX. This is from 3 days ago, Marcus said. Watch. The footage showed Jessica at the airport, not in uniform, but in civilian clothes. She approached a young black woman struggling with a crying baby and heavy luggage. Can I help you? Jessica's voice came through the audio. I'm trying to find my gate, but my baby won't stop crying, and... Here, let me hold him while you check your boarding pass. The footage showed Jessica comforting the baby while helping the woman navigate to her gate. When airline staff tried to rush the woman, Jessica intervened. He has time. Her flight doesn't board for 20 minutes. There's no need to pressure her. Marcus paused the video. You didn't know I had cameras following you. Jessica's eyes widened. You've been watching me? I watch everyone now, especially people who've shown me their worst and might be capable of their best. He pulled up another file. Jessica Martinez, Character Assessment Report. 3 weeks of community service, 0 complaints. Multiple commendations from families you've helped. Jessica stared at the screen. I don't understand. I'm offering you a job, not flight attendant. Customer advocacy specialist. You'll investigate discrimination complaints and help implement solutions. But why would you trust me after what I... Because you've seen both sides now. You know what it feels like to be the person causing pain, and you've worked with people who experience it daily. Marcus leaned forward. Real change doesn't come from perfect people. It comes from people who've made mistakes and chosen to do better. 3 months later, Marcus received his quarterly discrimination report. The numbers were staggering. Complaints down 73%. Customer satisfaction up across all demographics. Employee bias incidents down 84%. But the real story was in the human details. His phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Mr. Williams, I just helped a 16-year-old girl file her first discrimination complaint against a restaurant. She said she got the courage from watching your video. She said if a CEO could stand up for himself, she could stand up for herself. Marcus smiled and typed back, "That's what real change looks like." The Flight 447 effect rippled across industries. Other CEOs began conducting their own undercover assessments. Discrimination complaints surged nationwide, not because discrimination increased, but because people finally believed reporting it would matter. Marcus kept a folder of letters that arrived daily. Dear Mr. Williams, I'm a hotel manager in Atlanta. After watching your video, I reviewed our guest complaint logs. We've been discriminating against black families for years. I've fired 3 employees and instituted new training. Thank you for showing us what accountability looks like. Mr. Williams, my daughter is 12 years old. She saw your video and asked me why some people have to prove they belong places where others don't. We had the most important conversation of her life. You helped me raise a better child. Sir, I'm a flight attendant for a competitor airline. Yesterday, I saw a colleague treating a Hispanic passenger unfairly. I spoke up and reported it. 6 months ago, I would have stayed silent. Your courage gave me courage. But Marcus also received hate mail, death threats, accusations of playing the race card and destroying white jobs. He kept those letters, too. They reminded him why the work mattered. One evening, his 10-year-old nephew called. Uncle Marcus, kids at school say you hate white people. Is that true? Marcus sat down heavily. No, buddy. I don't hate anyone. I just want everyone to be treated fairly. Like when we play basketball and everyone gets to shoot, not just the tall kids? Exactly like that. That makes sense. I told him you were just trying to make the game fair for everyone. A year later, Marcus flew commercially again, anonymously, in coach. He watched a young black businessman board and take his first-class seat without question, without extra verification, without suspicion. No one filmed it, no one posted about it. It was just normal. That's when Marcus knew they had won. Marcus Williams stood at the podium of the National Civil Rights Convention, looking out at an audience of 3,000 activists, business leaders, and everyday people who'd been inspired to create change. "A year ago, I was just another black man trying to fly first class," he began. "Today, I want to share what we've learned about turning viral moments into lasting transformation." The audience leaned forward. This wasn't the usual corporate speech about diversity initiatives. This was a man who'd put everything on the line and won. Flight 447 taught us that real change happens when three things align: courage to speak up, power to take action, and witnesses willing to share truth. He clicked to the first slide, a photo of Zoe, the teenage streamer, now a freshman at Howard University studying journalism. Zoe didn't just record discrimination, she broadcast it to the world. Her courage turned a private humiliation into public accountability. Today, she's studying to become the journalist who holds powerful people responsible. The next slide showed Jessica Martinez receiving her social work degree. Jessica went from perpetrating discrimination to preventing it. She now runs bias prevention programs for 12 airlines. Her transformation proves that people can change when they choose accountability over defensiveness. Marcus paused, his voice softening. But the real heroes aren't on these slides. They're sitting in this audience. He gestured to a section near the front. Maria Gonzalez, hotel clerk from Phoenix, recorded her manager making racist comments and shared it online. That hotel chain now has the strongest anti-discrimination policies in hospitality. Applause filled the convention center. James Park, restaurant server from Chicago, live-streamed customers being refused service because of their race. That restaurant closed, but 3 new black-owned restaurants opened in the same neighborhood. The new Georgia hotels have seen their names every... More applause, building momentum. Sarah Kim, retail worker from Seattle, documented wage discrimination against minority employees. Her video led to a federal investigation and $4,200,000, 0 cents in back pay for workers. The applause became thunderous. Marcus raised his hand for quiet. These touching stories remind us that ordinary people have extraordinary power when they refuse to stay silent. But we're not here to celebrate. We're here to expand. Marcus's voice carried the authority that had transformed an airline and inspired a movement. Every person in this room has a phone. Every phone can record injustice. Every recording can create accountability. He pulled up the final slide. Accountability now. 2.3 million posts and counting. Traffic. The hashtag started on Flight 447, but it belongs to all of us now. When you see discrimination, record it, share it, demand change. Marcus stepped away from the podium, his voice carrying across the silent convention center. I'm going to ask you to do something. Take out your phones. 3,000 people reached for their devices. I want you to share the most powerful real-life stories you know. The black stories that need to be heard. The touching stories that can inspire change. The life stories that remind us why this work matters. Phones lit up across the audience like stars in the darkness. Share this video, tell your friends about Flight 447. But more importantly, be ready to be the next person who says, "No more," when you witness injustice. Marcus's final words resonated through the convention center and, later, across social media platforms worldwide. Change doesn't happen in boardrooms or government buildings. It happens when ordinary people make extraordinary choices. Comment below with your own experiences. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to stay connected with people who believe justice isn't just an ideal. It's an action. Together, we're not just sharing touching stories about discrimination. We're writing new life stories about accountability. The question isn't whether you'll face injustice. The question is, when you do, will you have the courage to turn that moment into a movement? As applause erupted, Marcus smiled, remembering a scared passenger in seat 2A who chose to fight back instead of staying silent. Sometimes the most powerful Black stories begin with someone refusing to give up their seat.